Hi, my name is Sarah Topol. I'm a journalist based in Istanbul, and I spent 5 weeks in Ukraine on a grant from the Pulitzer Center looking at Ukrainian identity. The reason that I was drawn to this project is back when I was in Ukraine, when everything was just starting in the east of the country, I was talking to a pro-Russian separatist who was at the time campaigning for federalism. And we were having dinner with a pro-Ukrainian activist as well. And after we finished the interview and he had talked about all of the things that he was upset about with the government in Kiev, I told him that actually a lot of his concerns, like corruption and feeling a lack of dignity and respect from the central government, was something that a lot of the pro-Ukrainian reformers also had in common with them. And I said, why are you guys looking to Russia and you guys are looking toward Europe, but you're both just shouting about the same things, waving different kinds of flags? And he told me, look, there's no park in Ukraine that would have a statue of Lenin and a statue of Bandera, who is a Ukrainian nationalist political leader. And I thought about that and I thought, wow, there's really no single Ukrainian national identity. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe that's one of the underlying causes that the war has spiraled so out of control. So I went back to Ukraine in November of 2014 to take a look at the different identity cleavages and the different ways that people in Ukraine feel towards the center state, towards the central government. And I found that actually it was incredibly divided. Some of the topics that I looked at were language, history, literature, and museums. I went to a lot of museums. And one of the most interesting things about Ukraine is that there is lingual cleavages, but they kind of happen along the lines of cities and rural areas. And so people in different parts of the country and in cities versus urban areas feel incredibly differently with which language they're comfortable speaking in. But at the same time, Ukrainian is the sole national language in Ukraine, while Russian is widely spoken in the East, and Russia is able to use things like this to influence Ukrainian national policy. So a lot of people who are championing the use of Ukrainian as the sole national language and shutting down things like Russian television or stopping Russian from being a second regional language, cite the idea of national security concerns that Russia can constantly influence domestic policy in Ukraine because they're able to beam their much more effective media and television shows into the country. So not only is it an issue of identity, it's also an issue of national security for some people. This project allowed me to really explore the different versions of what it means to be Ukrainian, what it means to be Russian, what is identity, what is ethnicity, what is lingual identity. How do you create a country where people feel some kind of patriotism toward the center when you're only 23 years old? A lot of people kept telling me to stop looking at the cleavages and to give Ukraine time. But it seems like Ukraine has really run out of time, and that unless something is done relatively soon to include people from the East into the center and into the project of Ukraine, the war is only going to continue to spiral.